of people complain about the current economy that not only the United States but the entire world is experiencing. And a lot of people are very frustrated, especially those who have recently graduated from college, and they say that there are no jobs out there or that they cannot find a job. So I want to give my take on that whole subject, as well as give you some very specific information that can assist you in your job quest if that is your issue. I want to, at a later point on other videos, I will be discussing various ways that you can make money with or without a job. And I really don't understand all of the whining and complaining that goes on, because really this is potentially a boom economy. That's right, a boom economy. Okay, this is a rare opportunity. The way the economy is right now, a lot of people are going to get filthy rich. And yes, the rich are going to get more rich, and many of the poor are going to become more poor, and that's because of lack of knowledge. Okay, but let's just start with the basics. Let's start with a job, if that's what your issue is. I'm going to slow this thing down. And I'm showing this globe because there are jobs all over the world. Every day people are getting fired. Every day people are getting hired. Every day people are changing jobs. People are promoting to new jobs. Other people are getting hired to the jobs that the other people left. It happens every single day. And there are many people, even in this economy, who have no problem, even if their company downsizes, immediately getting another job. I'm going to show you right now a method that I learned quite some time ago when I was actually 18 years old, and I came into a new city for the first time where I did not know anyone and did not have the experience of being familiar with that terrain or that city or anyone in it. So I sort of discovered this on my own. And what I want to do is, I'm using Google Earth right now, but I'm going to show you another way to do it. I'm going to go to where it says fly to. Now this is about getting a job. I'm going to show you a system. And I actually developed this into a system, and it works. It's never failed to work for anyone that has used it. You would type in your address. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to type in, let's see, Newark, New Jersey. There we go. Newark, New Jersey. And I'm going to click Begin Search. And that's going to take me to Newark, New Jersey. Right there. There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to click on Find Businesses. I'm going to type in the word temporary employment. Temporary employment. I'm going to hit enter again. And what it's doing is it's going to locate temporary employment agencies in that area. Irving Staffing Services, A Rescue Staffing Agency Inc., Labor Ready, Attico Staffing, Ivo's Employment Agency, Robert Half, Finance, Good Temps, Industrial Business Solutions. As you can see, these are all spread out. Now, what you would actually do is type in your specific address where you live, because you might want to, know how many temp agencies are closest to your residential address. I don't have a specific residential address, so that's why I just typed in Newark, New Jersey. I don't know anything about Newark, New Jersey, but I know this works anywhere in the world. And they're showing 10 temporary employment agencies. Now I'm going to go to a different website, one that I like to use. It's called WhitePagescom. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to click Find a Business. I'll just use it right here. I'm going to type in the same thing. Temporary employment. You could also type in temporary employment agency, but temporary employment is enough. I've got Newark, New Jersey. Now I'm going to click Find. On Google Earth, we found 10. I go to WhitePages.com, which is actually preferable. I just use Google Earth because it's graphic and it looked good. But basically, this is an easier way to do it. Just go to WhitePages.com. You've got 28 employment agencies in Newark, New Jersey. Okay? You've got the names of the agencies, you've got the addresses, and you get the phone number or anything else you want. Okay? If I were to click on one of these, let's say HR support services. That would stand for Human Resources Support Services. That would take me to a page where I can get more information such as their telephone number, and if they have a website, you'll be able to click and actually go to the website of that company. Okay? So let me close that out. And let's look at a more populated area. Let's look at, I guess it really doesn't matter if you don't live in a particular city. What I would admonish you to do is find the biggest city that's close by. If you live in a little small town, you might not have too many temporary employment agencies. I'm going to type in Atlanta, Georgia, temporary employment. I'm going to show you exactly how to use these agencies systematically. There are 394 results in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay? So if you live in Atlanta, Georgia, or anywhere near Atlanta, Georgia, there are 394 employment agencies in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, if I want to make sure that I narrow this down to the temp agencies, I would put the word temporary employment in quotation marks. See where it says show only temporary help employment contractors? So I'm going to select that. Show only the temporary help employment contractors. Now when I tell people this, a lot of times they say, but I'm not looking for temporary employment. I want permanent employment. Well, of course you do. But I am telling you, and this is really where the secret comes in. A lot of companies would tell you that they are not hiring, and they absolutely are not hiring today through regular channels. But they are still using temporary employment agencies to fill their human resources needs. Okay, and a temporary employment agency is one of the best and easiest ways to get on the inside track of the companies that you want to work for. Okay, it is one of the best and easiest ways to do that. You can even tell temporary agencies that I am specifically looking for temporary employment for XYZ Corporation or whatever companies, plural, that you are most interested in. Okay, but the main thing is you have to work with the temp agencies, and I would admonish you take whatever you can get at first. This works whether you have experience or not, whether you have skills or not, because oftentimes they just need bodies. They need people to count things. They need people to take inventory. They need people to clean up a mess. They need people to do whatever. So you go into these temporary agencies and you treat it as though you were applying for a full-time job. You put on your best face, your best presentation. If you're a guy, you wear a suit and a tie, or at least a white shirt and a tie. If you're a woman, you dress professionally. It doesn't matter what type of work you do. Even if it's a labor, you want to dress professionally. You go into these agencies, you have the addresses, you have the phone numbers, you can find them very quickly. Now, what I would admonish you to do is set a goal of going to every single temp agency in your area. Let me tell you something about temp agencies. Temporary employment agencies are unique from permanent employment agencies because a permanent employment agency, typically, once they place you on a job, they can earn as much as 10% of your annual salary. So if it's a $40,000 a year, they're going to earn $4,000 just for placing you on that assignment. And there are various ways that this works. Some permanent employment agencies require you to pay them up front. I would never ever advise you to do that. But what I'm saying is when the economy is bad, like it is now, like people say it is now, I don't necessarily agree. It really depends on your perspective because I'm really taking advantage of this economy big time. But you will always be able to find employment at temporary employment agencies. And let me ask you a question. If you have 101 temporary employment agencies in Atlanta, Georgia that are still in business, that means they have a staff to pay, they have a lease and rent and equipment to pay for, they have expenses, they have insurance, and they have to be making money or they would go out of business. Obviously, they are in business because they are making money still. And the reason they're making money is because there are people that rather than sitting around making excuses saying there are no jobs out there, they are going to these temporary employment agencies saying, I need a job. And they are being placed on jobs. And as a result of that, these temp agencies are still in business. and they are making money. Okay, so all you would really have to do is set your sights on the temp agencies and start applying to these temp agencies. First thing you want to do if you don't have one already is prepare a resume, because what you're going to have to do with every single temp agency you go to is you're going to have to fill out an application. They don't really care too much about your resume, but the resume will help you to fill out that application and expedite the process. The majority of people, I believe, who sit around saying there are no jobs are clueless. They're not looking for a job. They're not doing anything productive or constructive to look for a job, or they just don't know how to look for a job. Let me tell you something. If you are serious about getting a job, and if you are out of work, here's what I would advise you to do. Accept the fact that you do have a job today. And let me tell you what your job is. Your job, if you choose to accept it, your full-time job is to stop making excuses and number 2, look for a job. What does that mean? That means you get your butt up early in the morning like everybody else who goes to work. If you're used to working, then you're used to getting up early in the morning. Okay? And if you want a job, you're going to get up early in the morning in most cases. In most cases. So whether you have a job or not, stop sleeping till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Get your butt up early in the morning and tell yourself your full-time job is looking for a job. And the very first thing you're going to do is exhaust every resource. That means if you live in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and that's just one city. I'm going to look at another city that's near Atlanta, Georgia. It's called Marietta. But before I do, I'm going to say this. That means you're going to set a goal of applying for every single temp agency in Atlanta. Every single one. That means 101. Okay? Now there's a city nearby. It's called Marietta. Let's see how many they have. It's much smaller. They have 61. Okay, I spelled it wrong. But there's 61 in the Marietta area, which is outside of Atlanta. You have 61 agencies, temp employment agencies in Marietta. I'm going to narrow this down to your temporary agencies, since that's what we're going to do. You have 61 employment agencies. And it's okay to apply for the permanent employment agencies too. It's just that you want to initially focus on the temporary employment agencies. And basically, I would say you should do 10 for 1. You apply at one permanent agency for every 10 temporary agencies you apply for. Okay? And you do this every single day. That means that if you're going to get your butt up early in the morning, the very first thing you're going to do is call these agencies. Don't just do what most people do. Don't just get the address and go and do a walk-in. You want to call them first. Okay? And the reason I suggest this is because I know how temp agencies work. Okay? And there's a certain, there's a few questions you want to ask these temporary agencies when you do call. Oh, I hate it when this computer snags like this. There's a few questions you want to ask. Number 1, do you currently have any job openings? That's a key question. Number 2, have you been getting a lot of jobs in lately? Have you been getting a lot of jobs in lately? Number 3, how long are the job assignments typically for? Number 4, do you get very many temp to perm assignments? Do you get very many temp to perm assignments? A temp to perm assignment means that basically they assign you on a temporary job, but they tell you this is temp to perm. That means if this company likes you, they might hire you permanently, but they're asking for someone to work for them temporarily. A temp to perm assignment is typically a minimum of 3 months. Sometimes they'll say 3 months or more. And a temp to perm assignment could be for 3 months, but you could end up working there for a year or even for 2 as a temp. Or after a certain time when it's within their budget and when they're ready and when they're sure that they really want to hire you permanently, they will offer you a permanent position. That's why I advocate using temp agencies, because it's a good way to get permanent jobs. And last, how much is the pay? Now I want to tell you something. Those are 5 basic questions. The last one was how much is the pay. But guess what? The answer to those questions are really not that important. They're not used to being asked these questions. The reason you're asking these questions is not necessarily to get the right answers. The reason you're asking these questions is to see how bad they want you to come in, because you have a lot to choose from. You're in the driver's seat. Okay, so you want to ask questions to find out, based on their tone of voice, their answer, the type of answers you get, which agency should you go to first. And I'm going to tell you why you do that. You're never, ever going to be able to apply at all of the temp agencies. You're not going to be able to do it. The reason you're not going to be able to do it is because you're going to have a job You're going to be working. You're going to be steadily working long before you could ever apply for all of these agencies. To be honest with you, unless you go in and looking like a total idiot with your pants falling off your butt, and you are inarticulate and you can't answer any questions, and you just come across as someone that will make a bad presentation when they send you to a company, unless you are that type of person, that means the real problem is you and you need to work on yourself. Unless you are that type of person, I mean, regardless of whether or not you have a work experience or not, even a person with no work experience, I can guarantee you, you're going to be working way before you could ever apply to all of these agencies. But I'm saying you set that as a goal to apply for every single temp agency in your area. Let's try something else. Temporary employment, I'm going to put in Chicago, Illinois. That's a big city. Chicago, Illinois. What do we have? 492 employment agencies in Chicago. I narrow it down to the temporary employment contractors, and we have 108. Now, a lot of people talk about Detroit and how bad things are in Detroit. I'm going to type in Detroit. In Detroit, we have, well, it's only 43 employment agencies. Employment Training Service. Well, I've got to be honest with you. That doesn't look very good for Detroit, because these types of businesses are very competitive. That's why there are so many. And when you don't, in really industrious area, you need temporary employment services. They only have 6 services that are uniquely temporary employment services. I want you to understand that even many of the permanent job agencies also do hire people for temporary work. There are only 6 uniquely temporary employment contractors in the city of Detroit, Michigan. But guess what? That's still good news. Because personally, when I did this, I was never able to sign up with as many as 6 temp agencies. Why? Because I was working. I was too busy. Remember, one job could be temp to perm, and that job could lead to a permanent job. Oftentimes, you can get placed on an assignment, even a temp to perm assignment, the very first day when you apply. That has happened to me. Okay? But I will tell you this. Well, actually, I won't tell you what I was about to tell you because I don't have time on this video. I'll make another video talking about the way you present yourself, whether you have experience or not. You can present yourself in such a way that the agency will consider you as a prime candidate for the very best jobs. And it's not what you think it is. I'll be making a video talking about that. And basically, anyone can do it. It has to do with your presentation and how you sell yourself. And you have to do it naturally. But like I said, I'll make another video about this. I think this is enough. I don't want to inundate you with too much information. Bottom line is, let's recap. You can use the Google Earth tool. I use that just because it's graphic and I like it. But basically, the idea is you put in your address and you find the temp agencies that are nearby, near your area. I assume you have a car, some type of transportation. Even if you don't have a car, don't let that be an excuse. Okay? So there's a lot of reasons you might want to do this. You want to, if you have a GPS system, obviously it'll take you right to the addresses. And if you're serious about this, what you want to do is once you get your list, print it out. Print out your list and make that on your to-do list. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. Okay, you print this out, you've got the phone numbers, and basically you call and you ask those 5 questions. If you don't remember the questions, go back on the video. It is important. If you only have a few agencies, I guess it's not that important. But I know how to determine whether or not it is worth my while to go into a particular agency now, because I want to go to the hottest agencies first. That's a term that they use within that industry. They are hot. When they say they are hot, that means they're getting in more work than they can handle, and often that happens. That means that anyone who calls in, as long as you don't show up in a clown suit or with your pants hanging off, or you're so inarticulate they're going to be embarrassed to send you any place, they're going to place you on an assignment. Don't you know sometimes a temp agency gets an order from a big company that says, look, we need 50 people and we need them within the next 2 days. You're not the only agency we're calling. We're calling other agencies also. But we need 50 people. We've got an emergency. We just had a situation happen, and this assignment is going to last for about 3 to 4 weeks. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something else about working for temporary employment agencies. I have worked temporary jobs. And like I said, this all goes back when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, just getting my feet wet. I got hired for companies like Intel Computers, Apple Computers, McDonnell Douglas, Lockheed, Atari, major companies in the electronics industry. Okay, Hewlett Packard. I worked for all these companies, and I started getting my feet wet and learning quite a bit about the electronics industry. And I began to have some solid credentials I could put on my resume based on my temporary experience. Okay, and oftentimes I would go into this job and actually be earning more money as a temp than some of the employees were who worked there permanently. So don't get that twisted. Anyway, I'm going to end this video with that, and I hope it can help you.